Greetings, y'all. This is Coach Veronica Marie, and I am here to talk about conflict resolution. The reason I talk so much about conflict resolution is because it's what I see every day as a need. I hear people talking, I hear people talking about others and their interactions and such, and it's a rare occasion that I hear a thoroughly uh, resolved conflict. So that's why I think it's so important to talk about this. And besides that, we just never can hear too much about healthy communication. It goes without saying that we live in a collective that has not been taught how to communicate well. It has to become a practice. So you need to practice hearing it and practice doing it and practice talking about it and practice analyzing communication, because remember, everyone is inside of their own brain with their own logic and their own reasoning, thinking that other people see things the same way, and that's not true. And if we don't learn how to effectively communicate to see how we can come together and create some beautiful spaces, then we just kind of reside in a space of separateness, especially when we're talking about those people that we love. I have a book that is for sale on my website. It's called Self Intimacy, A Beginner's Guide to Self Discovery. And this book is for individuals who enjoy getting to know themselves on a deep level so that they can get to know others on that same level. It's a workbook, it's something that you need to work through, it's not something to just speed through. Toward the end of the book, I give more strategy. The beginning of the book is a bit more of education. So I encourage you to take your time through the book and really deeply reflect. I have another one coming out soon called The Empowered Empath. So stay tuned for that. And let's jump into this conversation about conflict resolution, how to have hard conversations. In order to have successful conversations that may be challenging or what some call hard, there's some things you need to begin practicing right away, even before the conversation. Number one, it's okay for people to have differing opinions, differing experiences, different ways of um, believing. It's okay and it's important. That might seem foundational, but many people do not believe this deeply. They'll say on the surface level, yes, I believe that. But when they get into hard conversations, they are really upset for that same thing about that same thing that they say they believe, right? And that tells me that there needs to be some more practice with that belief, the belief that it's okay for others to have different opinions, experiences, thoughts, and see things different ways. That is okay. Secondly, just because a person sees a thing a different way doesn't mean they're wrong and you're right, or they're right and you're wrong. We are having experiences, sharing them, and finding out how we can have some successful shared experiences together that we both enjoy. So right away, I'm going to keep emphasizing and re-emphasizing this. If you have ever walked away from a conversation upset because a person still didn't see what you were saying and still didn't do this and still didn't do that, you need this first premise. It is okay, natural, normal, and often necessary for people to have divergent beliefs, opinions, thoughts, feelings, and experiences. If you do not believe this, if you do not welcome this or allow it, then how can you know anyone? How? The next thing you need to understand is that you also have your own opinions, beliefs, and such. And just because yours differs doesn't mean they're wrong. It doesn't mean anyone has to change. It means we need to have a thorough conversation. We cannot have a thorough conversation if people are listening with the belief that things should go a certain way. So you need to approach the conversation with openness. Openness is going to lead to calmness. Openness will lead to peacefulness. Openness will lead you into understanding. Coming forward when you feel contracted and like the other person should think this, shouldn't say that, should do, it's going to cause contraction, which will produce tension and frustration and feelings of displeasure. You can choose for yourself which one you think is more likely to produce an outcome that you would like. Sometimes people say, well, I tried it peacefully and I've tried it this way and they still don't want. But guess what? You're still having a negative experience. So that means somewhere in there, you want them to think differently. You want them to see differently. And they're not doing it. So you're feeling very upset. And that is okay too. You need to work on that, but not blame the other person, not shame, accuse, or anything like that. I'm trying to teach you how to deal in hard conversations with maturity, with wisdom, with truth. If you're honest, the real reason you even want to have the conversation is because you want to dwell in understanding with others. But your methods are not producing understanding if you are not believing the things that I just said. And again, you have to be deeply honest with yourself when you are examining your beliefs, because just because you know that it's okay for other people to have their opinions and such doesn't mean you believe it, doesn't mean you have accepted it, doesn't mean you have assimilated it into your being on a daily basis. Okay. When you receive knowledge, it takes time to process into a way of being, it takes practice. So some people think if they just read a book, they'll be better. You have a better understanding of the concept in the book. Now you need to apply wisdom and practice that concept with others so that it becomes a way of being and your old way of being goes extinct. Sometimes people tell me what they know already. I know that already, but knowledge does not produce change. It's not important how much you know when you are trying to resolve conflict. There are many intelligent people in the world who have unresolved issues in their relationships. It doesn't matter how much you know. It doesn't even matter how right you are. There are a lot of right people who are experiencing separateness in their relationships. What does matter when you are trying to establish beautiful bonds, connections, and shared experiences that you enjoy, what is important is for you to understand at a foundational level that it is okay, necessary, and normal for other people to have an opinion. Even if they have an opinion that you don't like, even if the opinion is about you or something that you did, that doesn't mean you have to be offended. In other words, when you are offended, it's because you're hearing something that you don't want to hear. It conflicts with what you think you should be hearing, and then you absorb it into your a meaningfulness to your identity. She's trying to say, I'm this. They're trying to say, I'm that. He's trying to say, I'm not. And that's not what's happening at all, usually. And even if the person is saying you're not, right, that your identity is not what they are saying. So you need a firm sense of identity, right? And I'm not talking about ego strength identity. I know I'm worth it. I know who I am. I know I'm strong. I know my worth. Not that. That's a false sense of identity. I'm talking about the place where you understand that other people's words they don't change you at your core. Other people's opinions are okay because it does not change who you are. It may change what you know about yourself or how you move with them, but it doesn't change the core of you. You are lovable now, and you will always be lovable, even when you display unlovable behavior. So it's important for you to have a real good sense of identity, not ego strength identity that is developed against something else. Some people form their identity against former versions of themselves or previous versions of themselves. And so maybe you used to be a person who reacted in anger a lot, unmanaged anger. And so you managed to grow forward and you no longer do that. So this person may place emphasis on, I'm no longer that. This person may also place emphasis on being peaceful no matter what, and getting bothered and upset with themselves if they let something bring them into an energy other than peace. That's ego identity. Your authentic sense of self and identity will lead to openness, will lead you to being able to have a more active listening ear. It will cause you to not take everything personally. You know, if you've ever read the book Four Agreements, you know that one of those agreements you need to make is to stop taking everything personally. Just because a person didn't like what you did doesn't mean they don't like you. Just because a person conflicts with your religious values and ideas doesn't mean they're conflicting with you. It will become a conflict with you if it's created that way. A person simply believing what they believe does not create conflict. What creates conflict is interpretations, absorption, and taking things personally, and then not knowing how to come together and create a shared experience. So, again, you need these foundational pieces of information before you have a hard conversation, or else it's going to end up like every other conversation before it, unresolved. I have more to say, but I intended to make this a short teaching. I would love to come back and kind of take us farther into the conversation, meaning your state of mind and also how to introduce a hard topic or some helpful ways to do that. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please do consider. Right now, I'm not on YouTube Live, so I cannot see live comments, but I can see them later. You can reach me on my website at veronicamarie.com. If you need one-on-one coaching, you can sign up there as well. Connect with me on social media accounts if you feel led. I'm on TikTok, Veronica Marie, just hashtag. I'm also on Instagram, Veronica Marie. Just type in the hashtag Veronica Marie. And that is it. Don't forget to pick up